Do you feel that deep connection to nature? The pull of the moon, magic, energy work, but maybe you're not sure what it means. Perhaps somebody's told you that you're a witch and you're not sure what they mean by that. Maybe you're curious about witchcraft. Maybe witchcraft's coming up a lot for you and you're wondering what that means. You may be asking, what do I do next? So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to answer those questions. My name is Sandra. I am the author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path. I help witches who are struggling to either start a practice or deepen a practice to integrate magic, ritual, and connection into their everyday life with ease. And when I first came to witchcraft and looked at it seriously, it felt like coming home. It felt real. It felt like it was the real thing for me. It felt true for me. I'd been interested in magic and psychic phenomena since I was a small child. And when I was a small child, I used to wish upon the evening star that I could become a witch. And even though I didn't follow up on any of that until my very early 20s, when I did start to explore witchcraft again, it was a magical experience. It brought so much joy to me and so much more of a feeling of connection to who I am and my purpose that was a total game changer for me. So you may be experiencing the same feelings yourself. Now, if you have started your magical journey and you're not sure where to begin, I do invite you to watch my free masterclass, How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice. It's designed to give you the clarity and the confidence and a simple starting point without the overwhelm. So you'll learn how to avoid the common mistakes that a lot of beginner witches make and create a practice and a study program that actually fits your life so that you're learning things bit by bit, step by step, instead of trying to do it all at once. There's a link in the description field below this video for where you can sign up for that masterclass, and there's also a link on my website, mysterywitchschool.com. So let's talk about what being a witch really means. A witch is someone who is consciously working with energy, working with nature, with intention to create change. We can take ownership of our lives again. And this is one of the things that attracts people to magic in general, and one of the things that attracted me to witchcraft in general and magic was knowing that, hey, I can actually exert more responsibility over my own life and more change over my own life. I knew instinctively that I didn't have to put up with the things that I was putting up with that I didn't want in my life. It really appealed to me being able to make change through magic, but it also felt true to me that you could make change through magic. And even if that didn't make any sense, particularly back in the early 90s, which is when I started to practice the craft, people weren't talking about law of attraction or manifestation or any of that stuff in the mainstream at all. So magic was still something that was seen as being very woo-woo. And I know my whole life has been about going against the mainstream anyway, so what difference did it make? I really had this belief that a lot of what we'd been told was wrong and that we did have the ability to change and connect more with nature, that nature had something in it that made it very powerful and also more real than the more abstract concepts of spirituality. Now, you don't need a lineage to be a witch, so you don't need to inherit a witchcraft tradition, because when you look at our ancestry going back and back and back and back and back and back, people were practicing magic way back. So your ancestors probably did practice magic. They might not have been witches in that terminology, but they were doing things that witches do. You don't have to have any dramatic initiations. You don't have to join a coven or anything like that. You don't even need to have a certain fashion flair to be a witch. Witches come in all shapes and sizes and heights, ideologies, and also fashion too. So you don't have to conform to any particular way of looking or dressing or believing or even eating. Witchcraft is very, very, very versatile. What witchcraft's really about is your inner awareness and your relationship with the world around you. In my early days of a witch, I remember going over to one of our beautiful islands here called Stradbroke Island, and I was in some bushland there. And I just had this intense feeling that as I lay there in the bushland, there was something real about it that wasn't real back in the city where I lived. That the concrete jungle that I lived in didn't feel as real as being in nature felt real. And it's not that the city isn't real, everything is real. Everything is spirit. Everything is a part of the spiritual consciousness, even the city. But there's something more connecting to nature for me. And it was this awareness that what was around me was very much alive and very sentient, that the plants around me were conscious beings, that the animals around me were conscious beings. And I felt that connection to them. So it was just broadening my awareness and perception that we live in this world with lots of various different types of expressions of consciousness, and you really do feel that in a very positive way when you're in nature compared to when you're in a concrete jungle, which, you know, most of the only thing that's of nature there is generally the people that are walking around in that concrete jungle, and maybe there's a tree here or there. Witchcraft is also a path of empowerment. You know, when you're able to take control over your own life to a large extent and do magic, you're not just changing the world around you, you're changing yourself. When you're doing spells and magic for an outcome, to experience something or to have something, you are doing magic on yourself to turn yourself into the type of person who has and experiences those things. So it creates change within yourself too. In fact, it has to. You have to become the person who has what you want to have and does what you want to do in order to have success in magic in the first place. So it is something that gets you in touch with your ability to be able to change you too and step into the version of you really know deep down you are, but haven't been allowing yourself to be because you've been told you shouldn't or you can't. Witchcraft is also about taking responsibility for your own life. And even if bad things happen to you and other people do bad things, it's about taking responsibility for how you react to that. Taking back your power means knowing that you have the ability to be able to take control over your feelings and emotions, to take the responsibility over what you do moving forward, and not being a victim. So even though you may technically be a victim, and there's nothing wrong with being a victim, you don't internalize that victimhood so that you're harming yourself by playing the victim. But witchcraft is very much about taking back your power. And of course you can use magic, defense magic, and protection magic to help you with all of those things as well. It's very much a personal evolution. You change and evolve into the true you. You can start to connect more with your higher self and follow the path that your higher being wants you to follow, which is really your true self and who you truly are, rather than following the path of the ego self that's been programmed to keep you safe by being and doing things which often as an adult aren't necessarily so helpful to you. So it's about connecting to what you truly want and who you truly are, and then making the changes you need to make to yourself to get there. So let me know in the chat, what first drew you to witchcraft or made you wonder if you might be a witch? And you can also let me know in the comments field as well if you're not watching the premiere of this. Now, you may need some signs to let you know that you are a witch. And some of these clear signs are your deep connection to nature, to the moon, to the seasons, to the birds, the animals, the trees, the water, the ocean, all of the aspects of nature you feel a certain resonance with and a connection to. And we work a lot with nature. With magic, we're working a lot with nature. We use herbs in magic, we use spices in magic, we work with the lunar cycles, even the seasons, even the planets we work with. everything in nature. So we realize that we're connecting to nature. You'll learn when you're working with plant energy that plants are conscious beings, that they communicate with each other through their root systems and fungi. So they are conscious beings. So whenever you're working with the plants, always thanking the plant spirit for the plants. So when you cut a plant, thank the plant for sacrificing that aspect of itself for your magic, or if you eat plants, thanking them for that as well. Another aspect about connection to all and everything is blessing our food. So when we are eating, and so that when we eat, we realize that there's a lot of beings that have somehow contributed to our food. Unless you have hunted and gathered your food and done everything yourself to your food, there are going to be other people even involved in getting that food to you somehow. So it's thanking your food, thanking the animals, thanking the plants, thanking the other people that have contributed to getting that food onto your table. And a prayer that I like to say is, I give thanks to all of the animals, plants, and people who have brought me this food. You may find that you're very drawn to using magic, and I think a lot of people come to the craft because they want to do magic. The first thing I did when I came to witchcraft was do a spell. I was also very drawn to tarot as well, so you may find that divination is something you're drawn to, tarot, oracle cards, runes. You may be interested in astrology too, because we work a lot with the planets. And energy work or healing. You may have a natural ability to be able to heal. You may be quite psychic. You may see ghosts. You may be able to communicate with people who have passed on. You may be somebody who's very good at knowing what's going to happen ahead of time. You may pick up an object that somebody else has given you, like a piece of jewelry or something, and instantly tune into their energy and tell them about themselves, because you've got this psychic ability. And maybe another way that you know that you're a witch is that you've always felt different to other people. Like you see through the surface of things. There's things that you know just aren't quite right that you've been told, and you know that there's more to what you've been told, and the beliefs in that of the mainstream around you, particularly the religions that you may have grown up in, just don't feel quite right in some way. And so you're always questioning things. You're always looking for another way of thinking or being, and you may already have another way of thinking or being. When I came to witchcraft and I read about the philosophy of witchcraft, it was like, this is true, this is real, this is what I've always believed. It was like it was telling me something I already knew, but I couldn't find outside of myself, because other religions and culture were telling me otherwise. So you may find that you're just saying yes, yes, yes to a lot of what you're discovering on the witchcraft path. You may also be questioning and have a history of questioning traditional beliefs as well, and want to find your own truth and your own spiritual path. You may have found that the religion that you grew up in was very restrictive. It may have been very patriarchal or very patriarchal, and you're missing the feminine aspect of divinity. You may be just finding there's too many restrictions in those other religions that don't make sense to you and don't feel true to you and don't feel real to you. And so you've always wondered what's wrong with me or what's different about me. And witchcraft may have opened the door to discovering that, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just simply you believe different things and your experiences are different. And of course, you may have had a lot of unexplained intuitive experiences or energetic experiences throughout your life that you may have stopped having because you closed it off. Because as a child, you didn't want people to know that you were having these experiences because you might have gotten into trouble for them, or people might have thought there was something wrong with you. And so you've closed yourself off to your psychic ability and you want to find that again. Or maybe you haven't closed yourself off to your psychic ability and you're just wondering, how do I actually use this in a positive way, and how can I gain more control over it? You may be sensitive to the energy of people around you and places around you. You might walk into a place and just feel, no, this has got a bad vibe. I don't want to be here. or objects. You may have that same experience with objects as well, that you're just able to pick up the energy that is around you and maybe even be able to influence the energy that's around you. And you can also feel very called to heal people, whether that is through hands-on healing like Reiki or other forms of healing modalities, that there's a part of you that wants to help heal others and bring something very good into the world through your magical abilities or your creative talents. So which one of these signs resonates with you the most? Let me know in the comments or the chat if you're watching the premiere. Now, what do you do? If you've gathered all of this knowledge about, I think maybe I am a witch, I've ticked a lot of these boxes, what do you then do? Well, you do need to find out more about what witchcraft is. And if you've been on this witchcraft path a while and you were just curious to find out what boxes were there to tick, you already know that it's all about learning and finding out as much as you can. You don't have to figure it all out at the beginning. You can go onto YouTube, watch many, many different types of videos by different witches, get a sense of people's different beliefs, the different ways of working with the craft, different philosophies, even different ethics, and just decide for yourself what fits you and what doesn't fit you. And read lots of books as well as blogs. There's a lot of information out there now, way more than there was when I first started the craft. I only had books. And it wasn't until I found my coven that I was able to really start learning from other people. So I was practicing spells from books, I was doing my sabbats from books, and it was great. But I felt quite alone doing it, and I really did yearn to find other people who were also practicing the craft as well. And so I yearned for that for about a year or 18 months. I can't remember how long it was now before I did find my first coven. And that was a real game changer for me, because that's when I really started learning, because I'd had people to learn from and also other people to practice with, and also other people to just enjoy being able to talk about these things with that I didn't have outside of the coven. So start with really simple things first. Do a spell for something that you're wanting, something simple at first, nothing too grand. Learn to work with energy work and meditate. I really do recommend that you start looking at grounding every day and meditating every day. And just doing daily rituals to connect to nature, to connect to the god and goddess. Grab a book, grab something on YouTube that appeals to you, and just start working with that and practicing with that. The free masterclass that I spoke about at the beginning of this video, how to start your witchcraft practice, is really good at giving you a blueprint as to where to start and what to do, and then what to do next, and how to pace yourself along the way so that you're not trying to learn everything at once, and you know where to start and what to do next, because you don't want to try and learn everything at once. You want to be consistent though, so whatever you're doing, you want consistency. Even if you just at first go, okay, I'm going to spend a certain amount of hours a week just learning about witchcraft. That could just mean reading about it at first and watching what other people are doing at first. And then starting to practice maybe a spell here or there, see when the next Sabbath is, and organize a little ritual to celebrate the next Sabbath. You just want to learn the foundations. Learn about the philosophy, learn about energy, learn about how magic works, how intention works, and learn those things first, because they're important. And when I'm teaching witchcraft, that's how I teach it. Then, if you need to find a group of like-minded people, see if you can find a coven. Now, covens aren't easy to find. They tend to be more secretive, and particularly in some areas more so than others. I was very fortunate. My first coven was a training coven, and they had been going for 12 months prior to when I joined. So they were very open about who they were and what they were, and they were at a psychic fair. And that's how I came across them, because they had a stall at the psychic fair. But having other people of like mind is incredibly important, and having teachers is incredibly helpful. People you can just ask questions of, and they can help you along the way. And that's what led me to creating Mystery Witch School and this YouTube channel in the first place, was being able to be available to help people. Because to me, when I came back to the craft after exploring other spiritual traditions, I found that there wasn't a lot out there that was really helpful in a way that I would have liked it to be helpful to me. So the Mystery Witch School has been created for that reason. Now, as a part of the Mystery Witch School, I've created the Mystery Witch School 101, which guides witches, both new and also witches who may have been on the path for a while but just haven't been able to get that regularity going, to guide you through the foundations of witchcraft without the overwhelm, so you don't have to figure it out all by yourself. So if you're feeling the call and you're ready to walk the path with guidance, with structure, and with support, as well as a community of like-minded people, the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy is most likely for you. It's a 12-month guided journey where you learn how to build your own magical practice from the very, very beginning all the way through to knowing all you need to know to do ritual. It's a step into your power, connecting to your inner witch. There's a lot of guided meditations there to help you connect to the practices and connect to your inner witch and connect to your power. You're practicing witchcraft every day through daily practices, and you're also building the skills you need to build. And overall, what it gives you is that connection to yourself, to spirit, to your purpose, and to your power, which is so important for happiness and for joy in life. You take your life back. You take your power back from all of the people out there and institutions out there that are telling you that you don't have any power and that you can't do it and you don't deserve to do magic and all of these sorts of things. From a witchcraft perspective, you have a right to practice magic. You've come here to practice magic, basically, and it's time to start doing it so that you can be who you truly are and walk your path in the way that you came here to actually walk it. So that's the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy, a link in the description field below this video. It's also on my website, mysterywitchschool.com. So let me know in the comments field how this resonates with you. What's one thing you're going to do to connect you to your witchcraft path today? It could just be going out into nature. It could be looking up at the moon. It could be doing some research on various different gods and goddesses. Just let me know what you're going to do today to bring you closer to the path. Now, if you liked the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Blessed be.